Do you ever find yourself at a loss with how to deal with negative comments or trolls online or haters who somehow are forcing you to dim your lights? Well, if so, this video is for you. I'm going to share with you at least my strategy for dealing with a lot of the nonsense online when it comes to negativity and haters, and hopefully this serves you as well. So, my name is Zuri El-Kaim, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. Welcome back to another episode of #winning. And part of winning means dealing with a lot of nonsense. Because here's the thing, the only time you're not gonna get any kind of negativity and bad mouthing or hate is when no one knows you exist. So if you wanna play small, if you wanna play comfortable in your small little bubble and no one knows who you are, great, so you're never gonna have to deal with any hate. But as soon as you start putting yourself out there, if you're running ads or being more prolific with your content, sharing your truth, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna step on some toes. And even if you're not purposely polarizing, people will just talk shit because that's who they are. So I wanna give you a couple perspectives around this. So number one is understand that no one beneath you, or sorry, I should say no one ahead of you is usually gonna be coming down on you. So a lot of the hate and the negativity is coming from people that are beneath you. I'm not saying that you're a better human than someone else, but a lot of times think of like how much pain and suffering someone must be in to purposely try to pull you down. And my initial knee-jerk reaction is I'm gonna kill you. Like that's like the testosterone masculine energy in my body. I'm gonna tear you apart. That's never gonna work. So if you ever have that moment of rage, you're like, what the F? I'm gonna take this person down. I'm gonna respond to their comment and fight with them and debate with them online. You lose. You lose. Because bullies and haters are looking for a response. The easiest way to get rid of that type of behavior is to completely ignore it. So if you study psychology, there's something called extinction, which is essentially behaviors disappear if they're not reinforced. So if you have a child, and there's a saying like, something like deaf parents have quiet children. So I think it was something like that, because if you can't hear and your kids are screaming and crying all the time to get your attention and you don't respond to it, eventually they will stop. Now, I'm not saying that's a parenting strategy, but it kind of shows power of ignoring stuff you don't want to give your attention to. So I would normally share some actual comments that people have put on our ads, on my content. But to be honest, by doing so, I would actually fuel their activity. So we actually delete all the negative comments because number one, there's something called the bandwagon effect. So if you post an ad or anything online and you allow negative comments to sit there, guess what's going to happen? Other people are going to jump on the bandwagon and feed the fire. So I don't want to encourage any discourse that doesn't serve my ultimate purpose, which is creating a more positive experience in this world. So if someone's gonna come on and say, oh my God, it's Mr. Clean, ha 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 ha. I mean, I could acknowledge that and be like, yeah, you know what? I just cleaned the whole house. I could say something funny and whatever about it. I don't even want to take the time to think about how I can be funny in response to that. I'm going to ignore it and I'm going to delete it. If I leave it in the comment thread, it only allows other people to jump on and be like, yeah, this guy's a fucking loser. And just nonstop. So my recommendation that I make to my clients is ignore the ad. Ignore the comment. Do not give that bully, that hater, that troll the time of day. Don't even give them consideration if you're typing a response, because as soon as you hit respond or reply and type something, they've won. They got what they wanted, which was your attention, and either they're going to respond and now debate with you, or it's just going to sit there for other people to jump into, and it's not a really good thing. By completely ignoring this stuff and by deleting it in the first place, you don't even show other people that type of discourse is a possibility in your reality. You can say, well, you're controlling the narrative. You're not giving people different perspectives in what they want to share. I'm like 100%, I agree with that. Yeah, I am. Why would I want to encourage not differing points of view, but people who are full out, like you're a scam artist, and you're like, why would I leave that stuff in my comment threads? Like it's, what differing opinions does that benefit, right? It's one thing if someone says, hey, like that's a good point. I think, in my experience, I've noticed this instead. Cool, like that's an interesting point of view. But for people to full on just call you names and just like, they don't even know who you are. It says more about them than it does about you. So number one is completely ignore it in terms of you responding. Number two is delete it outright. And then the third thing is do not internalize anything. Okay, there's a really good book by Don Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements. One of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally. That's not easy to do, right? So earlier when I said my knee-jerk reaction to stuff like that is I want to reach through the computer and strangle you, kind of. That is me taking things personally. And now that's more how I would respond, just like my primitive wiring, back in the day. Now, the more I see this stuff, I just smile. Because it doesn't even affect me anymore. Like I've built callus, I've built these layers, like these force fields. And I'm like, dude, is that the best you got? Like I've heard this 1,000 times. That's nothing. And I'll be like, I'll just have a smile and I delete it. So I know it's easier said than done. Don't take anything personally when someone personally attacks you. But why would you take criticism from someone you would never take advice from? It's different if your parent or a close friend or a colleague or someone you hold in high esteem calls you a piece of shit because you're doing something that's not good. That's a different story. In which case you got to check yourself to be like, is that true? And if it is, all right, I need to own up to that. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who doesn't know you exist. They don't even know you personally. So anything they say about you, how can it be a reflection of you? It's a reflection of them because they're seeing a little microscopic version of what you represent. And now they're saying that you're X, Y, or Z. So the fact that you're allowing that to be internalized means at some level, maybe you think they're right. Or it's just you haven't built the callus yet to deflect that, to recognize, who is this person? They could be a 15-year-old kid. They can be a 72-year-old grandmother. They can be a 45-year-old dad. Like, who cares? Like, they have shit going on in their life, which for some reason, they're seeing every 4th post on social media is a sponsored post, which is an ad. And maybe it pisses them off. They're like, I don't like this experience. I'm going to just leave something negative on this person's feed. And it has nothing to do with you that happen to be having a bad day or a bad life. And so where previously I would have wanted to crush them, I've evolved into, I really feel sorry for you, man. I wish you all the best. I'm not saying this to them. Energetically, I am. I'm saying you must be going through some really hard shit because hurt people hurt people. So if they're trying to hurt you, what type of hurt must they be going through? And if we take that perspective, and I know it's not easy. It just allows to have a bit more grace with some of this stuff. And you don't start to internalize the negative emotion or the anger or the frustration that might come out with seeing this stuff. So number 1, ignore it. Number 2, delete it. And number 3, do your very best to deflect it so that it doesn't come in. So the second thing I want to share with respect to this is don't allow the 1% to ruin the 99% of people who actually want to hear from you. This is one of the biggest things that I see hold people back online is they play small because they're worried about a very small percentage of people who in the first place don't even follow them, who say negative shit about what they're putting out there. And they allow that microscopic piece of shit individual or whatever to completely derail their entire mission. And I want to suggest to you is what you're not hearing are all of the other people, the 99.9% of people that follow you or on your email list or whatever, actually value what you do. Most often people do not respond with positivity, but they'll let you know if it pisses them off. So understand if you send out an email and person responds all caps, fuck off, take me off your email list, you're not hearing from the thousands of others on your email list who actually enjoyed that email. But instead what happens is you look at that one email from some whoever, and now you start to think, oh man, maybe I should send fewer emails to my list because I don't want to piss people off and therefore they will unsubscribe. Or I'm noticing I'm losing followers on social media. Well, I'm also gaining them, but I'm losing them as well. Okay, cool. So how are you going to win that game? You're trying to please everyone? You'll never please everyone. Don't reduce your posting schedule. Don't dim your light. Shine brighter. Shout louder. You, through your brightness, by sharing your light, by shining your light even brighter, you will drown out the darkness, right? You can't fight darkness with darkness. You illuminate the darkness and it literally disappears. So the easiest way to get rid of the nonsense and to just show people that it doesn't bother you is to use that as fuel if you needed more fuel, to just shout louder, to shine, to turn up the brightness on your light and continue to share and spread your message unapologetically. If you have certain views that other people don't agree with, it doesn't mean you change your point of view. It doesn't mean you stop sharing the truth. It is what it is, right? I'm not saying you have to share all of your points of view publicly if it doesn't support your business, but also don't hold back from stuff you believe to be true. I mean, our most successful clients, be it if they're using social media or not, are those who are very connected to their truth and they share their truth unapologetically. During COVID, if they didn't believe in vaccines, they were very adamant about it. Some people are like, oh, you're one of those snake oil people. Cool, awesome, right? Who cares? But they're gonna speak their truth. If, as you know, I don't like our prime minister, I think he's one of the worst humans I've ever seen on the planet. I'm not gonna hold back on that. I'm like, I think this guy is a real, piece of you-know-what. And I don't give a shit if you're a liberal and you like Trudeau. I'm not going to change my point of view. I think he should be sniped. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't been yet, if I'm being honest. So there, I just shared something that, does it support our business? No, but it's my truth. Does it support this conversation? Not really, but I'm just giving you an example of my belief. And if you're a liberal who loves Trudeau, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be like, oh, he's the best. I don't agree with you. And I'm like, great, awesome. I don't agree with you. We're not going to debate about this. So you speak your truth, you share your points of view. It doesn't have to be political, it doesn't have to be about abortion, it doesn't have to be about any of that stuff. But whatever you believe to be true, if it's nutrition and you think that veganism is from hell and it's a terrible thing, cool. If that's part of your platform and you believe that eating meat and fat is the best way to go, you go full deep on that and that's it. And guess what's gonna happen? Everyone who doesn't agree with you is gonna give you hate. Does that mean you change your philosophy? No. If it's, an interesting conversation, you can decide to leave it in your threads. If it's hate and nonsense, you can delete it, ignore it, deflect it, okay? But most importantly, and I'll finish with this, is do not allow the select few out there dim your light, dim your message. That's what they want. They want you to shut the fuck up. And the best way to shut them the fuck up is to speak louder, is to amplify your message, is to shout to the masses, metaphorically speaking, because you will silence them in sheer volume. So you doing you sharing your message, you sending out emails. If you send out 7 emails a week and people get pissed off, great. They were never going to work with you in the first place. Does that mean you're going to go to 1 email a week? I don't think so. Doesn't make sense. If you post every single day and people get, you got some negative comments on some of your stuff, does that mean you don't post at all because you're afraid of what other people might say? Well, I don't think so. You keep doing you keep plowing. You have a message, you have a mission. You do not let anyone detract you from that, because if they do, they win and you lose. And that's not why you're in business. That's not why you're watching this. This is called #winning, not #losing, because I listen to trolls detract me from my mission. Make sense? So if you've enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button, check out the next video on how to get through tough times. I think if you're dealing with this kind of stuff, this kind of discourse, or you're dealing with some other stuff in your business or life that is challenging and you're not quite sure how to navigate that, check out this video where I'm gonna walk you through 2 things you have to have in place to get through tough times with grace. I'll see you there.